Okay. First things first, I hate the way they wrote this. I totally hate the way you never put I after a radical because it looks like it's underneath a radical. So I'm first going to write it like this, I root 3 over 1 minus I root 2. So I don't know why the book does that when everything else after it, they don't do it. Okay, so if you remember, we talked about this, we have to rationalize the denominator, which means we multiply by the conjugate of this. All a conjugate is a change of a sign. What's the change of this sign? 1 plus I root 2. And then whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. That's a basic fraction rule that you should have learned way back in 7th or 6th grade, okay? Now what do we do? Well, now you FOIL, okay? And now it could get complicated, but just you know what to do, but trust your skills. You've gotten this far, trust in yourself, okay? So 1 times 1, 1. 1 times I radical 2, I radical 2. I radical 3 times 1, I radical 3. I radical 3 times I radical 2. What is I times I? Just write it down. Can we do a square root of 3 times the square root of 2? Are we allowed to do that? Yes. What is square root of 3 times square root of 2? Square root 6. What is I squared? Negative 1. So this is really, I cross it off and I write negative root 6. This is a real number. This real number is supposed to go with this real number, okay? So that's why they moved it around, 1 minus root 6. Can you add i's together? Well, you could only add i's with radicals if these radicals, I don't know if you remember your radical rules, you can only add radicals together that are the same. So if I had 5 square root 2 and 2 square root 2, I have 7 square root 2, right? So am I allowed to add these? No, you just leave them like tagged along. So that's the top, by the way. That's all we just did was the top. What? Great. No, the bottom's actually easier. When you multiply conjugates, you only have to, and I tried to make an Amy Davisism, no one listened to me, but I said, you only have to flip. And they're like, you don't have to do the O and the I. You just have to do the first and the last. That's the beauty of conjugates. So you just have to do 1 times 1, 1. And then negative I times a positive I is negative I squared. What's square root 2 times the square root 2 become?
2.
Becomes 2. It becomes square root 4, which is 2. So let me just put a little 2 here. What is 2i squared, really? What does this become? Well, negative 2i squared, I guess we could. Positive 2. And what's 1 plus 2? 3. If you got this far, I mean, I would call you pretty much genius. No, I wouldn't call you genius, but I'd say that's pretty darn good. That right there, oops, sorry. That right there, I would say that's actually full credit to me. What they did after this is they just separated the real part. So they wrote 2 different fractions. They went 1 minus square root 6 over 3. And then they put square root 2 plus square root 3 over 3, and they pulled out the I on the side. And that's the imaginary part. That's all they did in the back of the book. But if you got that far, that's really good. That means you're like, you actually have some mathematical sense about you and you know what you're doing. Nice. All right, let's do 51 then. That makes sense? Okay, 51. You feel better, right? Everybody's always like, I don't know how to do 33. It's in the middle of the book. I always thought I don't know how to do the math problems. It's okay. Can you tell me what it says on this one?
Yeah, 2 minus I in parentheses.
I think this is a 3-1, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then 3 plus 2i. And then the last one is 1 minus 4i.
Good. Okay. So again, this is a FOIL. So you have to FOIL like 3 times. That's okay though. I mean, you know how to FOIL with X's. You can FOIL with I's. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 4i. I'm just going to write it out. Minus 3i is the middle. And then this would be, wait, I just lost myself. First, outer, inner, last. There we go. Negative 2i squared. But what is negative 2i squared?
Positive 2.
Positive 2 goes with the 6, so it becomes 8. Positive 4i, negative 3i make 1i. Take this, multiply it with that. Okay, so then we would get, we do with foiling again, 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times negative 4i is negative 4i. That becomes an I. And that becomes a negative 4i squared, which is really positive 4. Positive 4 goes with 8. That's 12. Negative 4i and 1i is 3i. Hopefully that was the answer. It's supposed to be 31. So what did I do wrong?
8 times 4 is 32.
Thank you. I'm a moron. Hey, I make mistakes too. There we go. There we go. 31. My bad, guys. Sorry. It happens. I teach calculus. I don't teach how to compute. I'm not a calculator. All right.